Hey, so we all know that veggies are something we should all be eating more of, yet kids are so fussy in this department.
Yeah.
I mean, I know not all kids, but
No,
a
a
lot of
lot. Yeah.
kids. So, what are some of your ideas to help make veggies more appealing to kids?
I think it is definitely a worthy share to be talking about this topic because
Mm.
like you said, so many kids are picky in this department.
Mm.
And look, I love food. There's
Yeah.
no secret there really. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to say that my kids also love food and they are both quite adventurous eaters, and they actually really relish in discovering new tastes and new kind of culinary delights. So they definitely have got to the point now that they're older. It wasn't always this way,
Yeah.
but now that they're older, they're really excited to try new things. Like,
Mm.
if there's
Mm.
something new that they spot at the farmer's market, they'd definitely gravitate towards grabbing it so that we could try it.
Yeah.
Food is definitely a huge part of our family life. We talk about it. We plan holidays around food. We celebrate with food.
Yeah.
And, not a day goes by really where I don't have some kind of discussion around either what we've eaten or what we might eat. My kids, I don't know about you, but my kids, the first thing they ask when they get in the car after school
Yeah.
is what's for dinner.
Yeah.
Or if they don't ask, they'll often if I often will say to them, I don't know, guess, and we'll talk about what might be for dinner. And yeah, on the way home from school or even after school activities, they'll definitely have a bit of a guessing game around what might be cooked. I don't believe I'm just lucky that I've got adventurous eaters. My hubby and I have definitely worked very, very hard to build this food culture within our own family and really persisted to do this. And we do talk a lot in this podcast about being patient and being persistent. And as I said, they haven't always loved vegetables. They haven't always loved food in general,
Yeah.
but we have definitely worked at it. And, that's why we're here doing this podcast, because we want to share our own experiences as well as sharing our professional experiences, because we've both worked with kids in the capacity of improving their relationships with both you as parents, but for me especially with food as well.
Yeah.
So there's no one trick in raising food-loving kids. There's so many strategies and tactics, and that's why we're doing this and why we've developed our Well-Nourished Kids program.
Yep.
But, circling back to this particular topic, and that is making vegetables more appealing. And that is one thing definitely that's part of my strategy with getting my kids to enjoy vegetables. I mean, I don't know about you, but if someone just plopped day after day just plain steamed or boiled vegetables onto my plate, I even think about in my childhood where I just get that, plain steamed, overly steamed vegetables.
Yes, overly steamed.
Yeah, my nan used to literally boil beans until they were brown. And same with Brussels sprouts. I think everyone's got a horrible, a horror story about a Brussels sprout. But there was never any, vegetables by themselves often don't have a great flavour. So my first tip is absolutely to make vegetables shine. They need to be at the very least well seasoned. And for me, that looks like adding a fat, such as olive oil or butter, which also helps your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins from the vegetables.
Yeah.
And then a good pinch of sea salt, a grind of black pepper. I think salt particularly enhances the flavour of vegetables. And I understand when children are very young, you might not want to jump right in there, but as they get older, definitely I don't see any kind of problem if they're eating a minimally processed or a non-processed diet. Salt tends to be an issue where there's lots of processed food jumping in. It's generally nutritionally not an issue where you're just adding salt to meals. But a cracking dressing is another thing that I think goes a long, long way to making vegetables really shine. And I do have lots of dressing recipes on the website, but a dressing for me could be as simple as just olive oil and balsamic, salt and pepper.
Yeah. And if you don't know about George's website, the recipes are all free.
Yeah.
So Well Nourished.
They're not all free, but there are quite a few hundred recipes that are free. The rest are part of my membership. But, there's plenty of inspiration there. And, I personally like to find, with your kids, you can find a dressing if they really love pesto, or if they really love balsamic vinegar or something. Go, work with their flavour likes. If they're more of a citrus kind of kid, then making a dressing with lemon juice and olive oil is always going to be, the way forward. Adding a bit of honey if they like a bit of sweetness in their dressing is always great. So, adding a dressing that works with their kind of preferred flavour combination and taste is always going to be advantageous when it comes to vegetables. Even, someone was asking me earlier about my favourite mix for like a coleslaw or a potato salad or something, and I generally mix like 50-50 good quality mayo with yogurt, and then I add just a tiny splash of lemon juice and some honey and salt and pepper, and that makes a beautiful dressing to go over like roast vegetables or in a slaw. Sometimes I'll add a bit of mustard. I'm always experimenting with flavours. Another thing is dips. Kids love this process of, particularly young kids. My kids always loved a dippy, they used to call it. Like, what dippy have you got? And whether it was cooked vegetables or raw vegetables, we would have some kind of dip. So, again, you'll have to work with the flavours that they like, but if they like pesto or they like, more of a creamy dip, something I often used to do was just mix yogurt with tahini, and that's like a calcium bomb. Nutrient wise, loads of good fats, protein, and so simple and easy to make. Also a little bit of salt and pepper as well. Really delicious. The other thing that I recommend, we have already spoken about the pitfalls of hiding food. But I don't see a problem with boosting foods that they already love. So if they love spaghetti bowl, inject as many veggies as possible. Or if they like a curry or a noodle soup, perhaps,
I do that veggies with spaghetti bowl. Just great different veggies in there, even with nieces and nephews that aren't big on the veggie normally.
And as we've said, it's always important for us to also present vegetables in their whole form. We have, as I said, spoken about that already, so I'm not going to kind of rehash that. But at least if they're very, very fussy, that they have eaten some vegetables.
And there's more variety going in.
Yeah, there's more variety going in. But as I said, if you want to add or put vegetables on the side of the plate as well, or serve with a salad or something, I think that's a really, really good idea. And if they don't touch it, because we're never pressuring them to eat anything, then at least you've got this peace of mind that they've had a good assortment of veggies. I also hide veggies or put vegetables in smoothies.
What are your thoughts on almost marketing to kids about?
Yeah, absolutely. Foods. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's so important to market to our kids. I mean, food manufacturers do it, so why shouldn't we as a kid? I think never tell a kid that they should eat something because it's healthy or good for them, but definitely market to the things that are important to them. We've spoken again about engaging their sweet spot. So, just not nagging or badgering them about these things, but definitely dropping hints that, for someone that cares about how their hair looks, that their hair and skin is better for eating vegetables. If
that's so powerful as they get older.
Yeah,
if you can link it to something that actually impacts them.
Totally.
A little harder when they're younger.
Yeah, totally.
Then it's more around Superman's running fast.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, even if their academic performance is important to them, talk about how it's important to fuel their brain with the right foods. So enthusiasm is also super important, I think, for making vegetables taste good.
I agree.
You would know this from like a psychology perspective. If there's positivity and if you're thinking vegetables are ho-hum and they're, not something to get excited about, I always think how much excitement is around talking about going for ice cream. Yet we don't convey that same enthusiasm around vegetables. So, I mean, no bad acting.
No, but I think this is huge, and even in a family food culture.
Yes.
Because I do get excited about certain foods that, like barbecue Brussels sprouts with butter, and I think it's really us modeling and being enthusiastic, genuinely enthusiastic, but about good, healthy foods.
Yeah.
You know, like
And
it
also,
really does transfer to your
100%.
kids.
And
Yeah.
also, I know you've spoken before about not projecting.
Yes. Yeah. So not kind of, if you don't like tomatoes or
Yes.
cucumber,
Yeah.
not projecting that onto your kids, kind of giving them, and not saying things like, oh, you won't like that.
Yes.
Or no, you don't touch it. You're not going to. Like, that's so disempowering for your kid, and it limits their confidence around food.
Trying new things, especially.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
I've I think also just, you know, when you're sitting and sharing a meal with your kids, instead of just like, you know, silently eating what's on your plate, talking about the flavors that you're enjoying. You know, like, I love this lemon dressing on the broccoli. What do you reckon?
Yes.
And look, if they say, what's your recommendation? Because some kids will turn around just to be defiant and say, I think it's still gross.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I love it. It's okay that we like different things. And again, maybe you'll grow up to like it.
Yeah.
Or maybe as your taste buds change, you'll like it.
I love that
tip. Because our tastes change over time.
And I love that tip. I know I used to, after you told me to say this, I used to say to my kids, oh, it's okay when you're growing up, because they just, when they were kind of tweens, they just wanted to be so much more growing up than what they actually were.
Yeah.
And that always caught their attention. Always caught their attention, like, okay, so growing up people actually enjoy this.
Yeah.
And it just planted, like we talk about planting seeds. It did plant that seed in their mind. That
definitely. And
maybe
I think
this is something I can learn to like.
Yes, definitely. And I think that we just don't hold on to anything or make a drama out of anything they say.
Totally.
It's just, cool, no worries. I'm going to eat it. I'll have yours
I'll
if you
have
don't
yours.
have it. Because I think it just, when you don't give food that energy, it just takes all of the
power away from it almost,
and it means that food and dinner's less of a ground for manipulation and power struggles. It's a place where you get nourished, you enjoy the food, and I think us as parents really either set that up or don't.
Yes.
With how we respond to whether they're eating, whether they're not eating. Yeah.
I think like my husband grew up in a family, his mum had 7 kids in 8 years, and then he came 10 years later. So he was very much the youngest in, you know, a big family. And, you know, I've spoken to his mum about her kids' eating habits, and there was one child, Tim, who was never fussed with food. He just wasn't into food. And he ended up being quite a sickly person, not because of the food, but he already was. He had a genetic disorder. But no one ever bothered about poor old Tim not eating his dinner. Tim used to just not eat and go and often, you know, at the end of dinner when everyone got up from the table, no one fussed over him. And, you know, he ate when he was hungry, and he, you know, the rest of the kids knew if they didn't eat what was put in front of them, there was no other option. And it was so just the way now, it was. I mean, she obviously, having so many children, had no capacity to be catering to anyone's needs. It was literally whatever was served up was eaten, and it was eaten without question or without fuss. And when I've spoken to her about food fussiness, or she's heard me talking about it, it's just, she just can't even comprehend it. As you could imagine.
It's finding a middle.
It is.
Where you kind of, because I think in our world we've gone too far the other way.
Yes.
And our kids are almost like little prince and princesses, and we run a ring, we kind of run around them.
Absolutely.
And I was definitely guilty of that. And I don't think it does your kid any favors.
No.
In the world, because that's not life.
No, it's not.
Life is where you've kind of got there's social norms, and relationships are about give and take, and noticing what other people need too, and especially around food, you know, being at school camps or sleeping over and being that fussy kid, it's challenging.
It's anxiety inducing, not only for the child. I mean, I've seen my kids off to so many school camps over the years, and there's always the children who are just in pieces, and the parents who are just in pieces about their kids going away on school camp. And when I've spoken to a lot of those parents and kind of consoled them, because I could see that they were upset and, you know, it broke my heart that everyone was so upset.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in that most of the time it actually was about the parents had concerns and the child had concerns about what they were going to eat at school camp. And again, that's really lit a fire in my belly to do what we're doing here, because it's not good for anyone to feel stressed about food.
Definitely.
Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand. We always venture off track, don't we? Look, vegetables as well. I just wanted to just plant the seed that vegetables make great snacks, you know, either cooked or raw. Food marketing companies have really conditioned us to certain foods are good for snacking, like biscuits and crackers and fruit and yogurt, you know, healthy foods, no doubt, not just bad foods, but well, I shouldn't say bad foods, but, you know, not just processed foods that aren't nourishing, even things like fruit and yogurt. We're told they're snack foods. But vegetables as well can be a great opportunity at snack time. Definitely. And I quite often, if I'm preparing a snack or a snack plate, I'll think, is there a veggie? I just think of it. Is there a veggie I could chuck onto this plate? And if there is, then great. So, you know, perhaps next time you reach for a piece of fruit or something that you baked, perhaps think of serving, you know, like a carrot stick or some celery or
some beans,
something. Sugar snap peas, something obviously that they enjoy.
And, you know, it's helping them develop a taste for it.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Because I think that's because some veggies like carrots can be delicious,
super sweet, but it's also just
peas and beans,
just removing that pressure that certain meals are for certain things. Like even for me, for breakfast, I can remember I went on a health retreat for my 40th birthday, and with our eggs every morning at breakfast they serve salad, and, you know, as long as I'd already been a naturopath, didn't ever dawn on me to throw a handful of leafy greens onto a plate at breakfast. And I enjoyed it so much at this health retreat. When I got home, I started throwing just a handful of greens of some sort with a bit of dressing. The greens were already washed in the fridge onto our plate with eggs. And at first my family were like, what the hell is this? Like, it's breakfast.
What happened to you?
That's it. No, but it was like, it's breakfast. Why are you putting salad with eggs at breakfast? And I was like, let's just see how we go. Like, let's just see. And now my kids would not boil eggs and not put a handful of salad on their plate. It's just part of what we do. And my hubby, you know, even, who definitely pushed back when I started putting salad on the plate at brekkie, all of a sudden. So just loosening up those norms, and, you know, vegetables can be eaten any time of the day. You know, as I said, my kids have pretty much most vegetables these days. My daughter's like me, cucumbers off the cards. But it definitely hasn't always been that way. And, you know, I'm a parent of two very determined kids, and I do fully understand the toils of juggling parenting and working and life in general. But I really do believe that by persisting, getting a little bit creative, and just enjoying veggies yourself, that you fully have the capacity to instill a love of these kind of nutrient dense, really super important foods in your own kids' diets.
Definitely. And just remembering that kids change over time.
Totally.
You know, like,
so Eva, never stop offering.
No, Eva used to not stand mushrooms. She tolerates them now.
Totally.
You know, and that it just changes.
It does.
Tastes change.
Yep, absolutely. So just keep presenting food in different ways.
And don't be emotional, or it's just know that, oh, this is where they're at today. It'll be different next week.
It will be. Hopefully you've got some tips there for making veggies a whole lot more appealing to your kids, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.